All right, so welcome everyone. We're diving deep today into Nebuchadnezzar's dream.
Ooh.
Yeah, excerpts from the book of Daniel.
Oh, okay.
Chapter 4. And, probably everybody listening has heard the basic idea, powerful king, mysterious dream,
Right.
the humbling prophecy. But we're going deeper
Yeah.
into the psychology of power and how this story still speaks to human nature today.
It really does. It's incredible how relevant some of these ancient stories are. These themes that they tackle, power and pride and searching for meaning, they're timeless.
Yeah.
And what makes this story so captivating is that it's so personal, too. It's not just this big political drama.
Yeah.
It's about a man wrestling with his inner demons.
Yeah. It's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So let's set the stage here.
Yeah.
Ancient Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar, at the height of his power. Build a huge empire, unimaginable wealth. You name it, he's got it.
Right.
But then he has this dream, this vivid kind of disturbing dream that just shakes him to his core.
And you have to remember that in ancient cultures, dreams weren't just considered random.
Right.
They were seen as these messages from the divine, especially for rulers.
Yeah, like a telegram.
Yeah, exactly. Like a telegram from the cosmos. And who knows if it's a good or bad telegram.
That's right. So he's understandably shaken by this dream.
Oh, yeah.
He calls in his advisors, the magicians, astrologers, the best minds in Babylon.
Right.
And here's the thing. None of them can interpret the dream.
Oh, that's got to be frustrating.
I mean, can you imagine the king's frustration? Even these trusted advisors are totally powerless against this.
And, I mean, it really emphasizes the limitations of human knowledge.
Right.
Even these people in these positions of authority.
Yeah.
But more importantly, it kind of sets the stage for Daniel to enter.
Yes. Daniel, who is introduced as a captive from a different land.
Right.
And he's described as having this direct connection to the spirit of the holy gods.
Which right away distinguishes him from the Babylonian wise men.
Totally, yeah.
Who just failed.
Yeah, yeah. And the story almost seems to be, highlighting the limitations of just relying on earthly wisdom.
Oh, for sure.
So Nebuchadnezzar, you can feel his desperation.
Yeah.
He turns to Daniel, who's outside his usual circle.
Right.
Completely different beliefs.
Different worldview altogether.
And he pleads with Daniel directly. He's like, look, my kingdom's on the line. You got to help me out.
It's a big ask.
Yeah, yeah. So what was this dream that had everybody so spooked?
So picture this. Nebuchadnezzar sees this massive tree, right? And it's so high, it seems to touch the heavens.
Wow.
Branches spreading across the entire land. It's full of fruit.
Okay.
Providing shelter, food for all kinds of creatures.
I mean, that's a pretty potent symbol.
Yeah.
Abundance, prosperity.
Yeah, and dominance, too. Everything that Nebuchadnezzar embodies as a ruler.
Right. But then it takes a turn.
A very dark turn.
For the worse. This holy sentinel comes down from heaven with a terrifying command. Chop down the tree, strip its branches, scatter the fruit. It's just a brutal image of destruction, the opposite.
Limit the abundance.
It's not just destroying the tree, though, is it?
No.
The sentinel's very specific.
Right.
Leave the stump in the ground, bind it with iron and bronze.
Yeah.
Exposed to the elements.
So it's not just about destroying the tree, but
Yeah, it's like humbling the tree, forcing it to confront its vulnerability.
Yeah.
What do you think that might symbolize for Nebuchadnezzar?
I mean, it feels like foreshadowing, like his downfall, the stripping away of his power and glory.
But there's that little glimmer of hope, too, right?
Yeah.
There is, because the stump stays there, so there's that possibility of regrowth.
Yeah.
Or redemption.
Right, right. So now it's Daniel's turn to interpret. But unlike the wise men who were so confident.
Yeah, what happens with Daniel? Daniel hesitates. He seems troubled, almost afraid.
Well, think about it. He understands how serious this is.
Yeah.
This isn't just a riddle. It's a message from the divine.
Oh, right.
With huge consequences.
Yeah, yeah. So after a moment, he gives his interpretation.
Okay.
He confirms that the tree does represent Nebuchadnezzar, his greatness reaching to heaven.
Okay.
But then he drops the bombshell. The king's going to lose his mind. He's going to live like an animal for 7 periods of time.
Oh, wow.
Before ultimately regaining his sanity.
It was like a total...
And understanding the true source of power.
Yeah, a challenge to Nebuchadnezzar's whole worldview, right?
Totally.
True power doesn't come from what you achieve here.
Right.
But from recognizing something higher.
And this is a message that still resonates today, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
So we've got a powerful king facing this dire prophecy. What's he going to do?
You'd think, right, that faced with a prophecy like that, Nebuchadnezzar would maybe take a step back.
Yeah.
Reevaluate, I don't know.
Yeah, you'd think.
But that's not quite what happens.
Right. It seems like sometimes our human nature is to just double down.
Oh, yeah.
When we hear something we don't like.
Especially when it's something that challenges our sense of self.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what makes the story so fascinating, you know? It shows how pride can blind us, even the most powerful people.
So what happens? Does Nebuchadnezzar try to, defy the prophecy, or does he have a moment of self-reflection, or?
Well, he has a moment, but maybe not the kind we'd hope for. The story says that a year later, Nebuchadnezzar is walking on the roof of his palace, admiring Babylon, the city he built.
Right.
And he just lets out this incredibly arrogant statement.
What does he say?
He says, "Is this not the great Babylon I have built by my mighty strength and for the honor of my majesty?"
Oh, wow.
Talk about tempting fate.
Yeah, he's basically asking for it at this point.
It really is like he's daring the prophecy to come true.
Right.
And, it's that classic tragic flaw, right? Not being able to see the limits of your own power.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, as soon as he says that,
a
voice booms from heaven.
There we go.
Announcing his downfall.
It's like straight out of a Greek tragedy.
It is. The king's pride is met with immediate divine judgment.
And then, so the prophecy comes true.
Oh, yeah. And it unfolds exactly as Daniel predicted. Nebuchadnezzar loses his mind. He's driven away from everyone.
Oh, wow.
He lives like an animal.
Really?
Eating grass, hair and nails, growing wild. It's a very...
That's a powerful image.
Visceral, yeah. Humiliation, the complete opposite of his former glory.
I mean, can you imagine a more drastic fall from grace?
It's hard to, right? From this powerful king to basically an animal.
What do you think this story is trying to say with such a powerful image?
I think it's meant to shock us, to make us really understand how fragile human power is,
right,
and how fleeting success can be.
Yeah.
I mean, here's this king who had everything, right?
He had it all.
Wealth, power, a massive kingdom, and it's all ripped away.
In an instant.
Yeah, just like that. It's a reminder that true power comes from something deeper.
Right, right.
It's not about external things.
It makes you think, how often do we believe our own hype?
All the time.
You get some success and you think you've got it all figured out.
It's so easy to get caught up in that illusion of control.
Right.
Like we've somehow mastered life.
Yeah, yeah. Like we're in charge.
We build our own trees, you could say, right?
Okay, I like that.
Our careers, possessions, our identities.
Mm-hmm.
And we get so attached to them,
Yeah.
We're so focused on making them bigger and better that we lose sight of what really matters.
So is that it for Nebuchadnezzar then? Is he doomed to wander forever lost in this madness?
Well, remember that stump, right?
Yeah, right.
Bound, but still there.
Yeah.
There's still that glimmer of hope, and that's where this story shifts from tragedy to redemption.
Okay, I like that. So last we left off, Nebuchadnezzar was in the pretty bad place.
Yeah.
Stripped of his power, lost in madness, living like an animal.
Right. It was quite a humbling experience.
You mentioned hope, though. Where does redemption come in?
So the text says after these 7 periods of time, and that could be years, seasons, who knows?
Yeah, right.
Something changes.
Okay.
Nebuchadnezzar, who's been totally lost in his own world, he looks up to heaven.
So, I mean, he's physically looking up.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing there's more to it than that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It symbolizes a shift in perspective, right?
Hey, man.
He recognizes there's something beyond him, beyond his ambitions.
He's not fixated on his kingdom anymore.
No.
Or the power he had.
He's looking beyond all that, towards something bigger.
It's like once he loses everything, he finally sees clearly.
Exactly. And with that clarity comes a change in his heart.
So what do we see? What's the change?
Well, he starts praising God, acknowledging that his dominion is an everlasting dominion.
Wow, that's a huge difference from the guy who was boasting about building Babylon himself.
It really shows the power of humility. Nebuchadnezzar goes from this self-proclaimed God king to someone who understands his place.
Yeah.
He realizes that real power isn't about controlling others,
Right.
but about aligning yourself with a higher purpose.
Okay, so what happens next? I mean, does he get his kingdom back? Is he accepted back into society?
He does. The story ends with him being totally restored. His kingdom, advisors, everything.
Wow.
He's back to his former position, even greater than before.
That's incredible. So what do you think this story is really trying to tell us? About power, pride, and redemption.
I think it's about the nature of true power. You know, Nebuchadnezzar's fall wasn't just about losing his kingdom.
Right.
It was about losing his humility, that awareness of something bigger than himself.
Yeah.
His restoration was about getting back to that, regaining his soul, so to speak.
It's like true power comes from mastering yourself.
Exactly. And that's a message that's still important today, even thousands of years later.
Oh, absolutely.
We live in a world obsessed with power and achievement, you know, building empires. This story reminds us that real fulfillment comes from something else.
Recognizing that we're part of something bigger.
Yeah, cultivating humility, finding a purpose beyond our own ego.
It makes you think, what are those trees we're building in our own lives?
It does, right? What would it mean for us to acknowledge something greater than ourselves?
To find strength in humility. It's definitely something to think about.
It is. Maybe that's the real legacy of this story. An invitation to reflect on how we pursue power.
To check our pride.
Exactly. And find real greatness in humility and connection to something bigger.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive. Thanks for joining us and sharing your insights.
My pleasure.
And to our listeners, we hope you enjoyed this exploration of Nebuchadnezzar's dream. Keep exploring, keep asking questions.
Yeah.
And maybe take a moment to see what trees you might be building. Until next time.